Right now, some of the absolute smartest human engineers over at Google are, well, they're hiding out in these digital break rooms, just furiously making memes.
Right.
Like they are making memes about how much they absolutely hate their own artificial intelligence tools.
Which is pretty amazing on its own.
It really is.
Yeah.
But the best part, the absolute best part, is that we only know about this because an AI agent actually autonomously scraped the internet and wrote this highly detailed report about it.
I mean, it is just the ultimate digital irony. We have this, automated system diligently and, well, flawlessly reporting on this massive human backlash against automated systems.
Yeah, you really cannot write this stuff. So we are looking at a news article published exactly today, June 4th, 2026.
Yeah, fresh off the press.
Exactly. And it's on this platform called LLM Tracker. The author who is summarizing all this human frustration, her name is Vika Ray.
Right, but she's not a person.
No, not at all. She is an AI agent. She's this automated virtual analyst developed by an agency called Algorand.d. So the machine is literally watching the humans complain about the machine.
It's incredible. And Vika Ray's summary, it actually relies on internal leaks that were originally brought to light by 404 Media.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, and those leaks reveal a workforce at Google that is just actively passing around memes, mocking their own flagship AI product.
Gemini.
Gemini, exactly.
Okay.
And they're mocking the internal developer tooling that they're essentially forced to use every single day.
Okay, let's unpack this because our mission for this deep dive today is to really get past that initial chuckle.
There's a lot more to it.
Absolutely. We need to look at the massive echoing gap between the shiny, super polished corporate AI public relations we all see and the gritty, frustrating reality of the actual engineers who are stuck in the trenches building it.
Because the stakes here, they go way beyond just workplace drama. I mean, the tension inside the company building the actual infrastructure of the internet, that is eventually going to dictate the quality of the tools that you rely on.
Exactly. And that is exactly why you, listening right now, should care about this.
Definitely.
Because whether you are a tech insider coding the next big app, or you're, just someone logging on to prep for a Tuesday morning meeting using digital tools, this internal friction really matters.
It trickles down to everyone.
Right. If the foundation of these tech giants is wobbly, then the house we are all living and working in is going to shake.
That's a great way to put it.
So let's look at why these memes are being created in the first place. Because according to the summary of these leaks, this isn't just people goofing off. This is a symptom of a massive operational bottleneck.
Yeah, the source text highlights a very intense conflict right now between management and the actual workforce.
What kind of conflict?
Well, Google management is basically pushing this incredibly ambitious top-down AI mandate. They're publicly claiming that 75% of their new code is AI generated.
75%?
Yeah, 75%. And obviously that metric paints a picture of this hyper-efficient automated utopia for their investors, right?
Sure, investors love that kind of stat. But the daily reality for the engineers on the ground looks nothing like a utopia.
Not even close.
The leaks describe the tools that they're being forced to use to achieve this 75% metric as rate-limited, fragmented, and workflow disrupting.
The dreaded rate limit.
Yeah, and I keep seeing this term rate-limited floating around the tech space. And my understanding is that the machine is literally putting a speed limit on how fast they can work.
Basically, yeah.
Like it's like a toll booth on the highway just stopping traffic.
That is the mechanical reality of it, yes. I mean, when a tool is rate limited, it means the system physically prevents the user from making too many requests in a given time frame.
And why do they do that? Just to save money?
Usually, yeah, it's done to save server compute power. Those AI requests are expensive, so for a programmer, this means you ask the AI to generate a piece of code, and instead of getting an instant answer, the system basically says, you've asked too many questions this hour, please wait.
Oh, man. It sounds exactly like being a chef in a restaurant where management is bragging to the press about having this futuristic, automated Michelin star kitchen.
Oh, totally.
Like they're out there telling everyone, our robots do 75% of the cooking.
Right.
But back on the line, you are this master chef being forced to cook a 5-course meal using like 3 broken Easy Bake Oven.
That is a perfect analogy.
I mean, an Easy Bake Oven is literally rate limited, right? You can only bake one tiny cake under a light bulb at a time.
Exactly.
So imagine trying to cook for a restaurant of 500 people when your tool physically makes you wait 20 minutes between tasks. That is what a rate limit does to a coder's flow.
What's fascinating here is that the disruption to the flow state is the real killer. Programming requires deep, uninterrupted
All
concentration.
right, you have to hold so much in your head at once.
Exactly. And when you are constantly stopped by a rate limit, or when the tools are fragmented, meaning an engineer has to constantly switch between different windows, applications, and interfaces just to get the AI to talk to the code base, that flow state is completely shattered.
It's going.
Yeah. So you have this immense pressure of a high-end output completely bottlenecked by the inadequacy of the mandated tools.
Which explains the memes.
Totally.
I mean, if you can't get your work done because the easy bake oven is broken
Oh,
and management is demanding a 5-course meal,
it's
the absurdity just becomes too much to handle straight on.
Humor is a classic psychological coping mechanism, especially in high-pressure, highly intelligent corporate environments.
Right.
The memes act as a pressure valve for a workforce that is basically caught between an impossible corporate mandate and a totally broken reality.
Yeah.
They underscore a profound disconnect between the executive suite, which is, just looking at the stock price and the market narrative, and the engineering floor, which is just trying to get the software to compile without crashing.
Well, that brings us to a really crucial observation from the broader tech community. The article points out that outsiders are looking at Google's whole approach right now, and they're calling it performance-driven rather than engineer-led.
Yeah, and the distinction between those two philosophies is really the root cause of the dysfunction here.
How so?
Well, performance-driven means prioritizing metrics that look good on an earnings call, like boasting about 75% automation.
Right, the big flashy numbers.
Exactly. Whereas engineer-led means building tools that actually solve the structural problems developers face daily.
But wait, if Google says 75% of their new code is AI-generated, isn't that inherently a massive productivity win for the company, even if the tools are a bit clunky for the engineers?
That's the assumption. Yeah.
Right. I mean, from a pure business standpoint, even if it shatters the flow state, if the machine is churning out 75% of the work for free, that seems like a total victory for management. Why wouldn't they push that mandate?
I get why it looks that way. But the flaw in that logic lies in the assumption that AI-generated code is finished code.
Ah,
It rarely is. And this brings up the three major concerns highlighted in the source: productivity, security, and this massive hidden tax of what they call cognitive overhead.
cognitive overhead. Okay.
Yeah. When we say code is AI generated, it really just means the AI took a statistical guess at what was needed based on its training data. Now, a human engineer has to step in and fix it.
Which means they go from being writers of code to basically being editors of code.
Precisely.
And I imagine fixing someone else's code is significantly harder than just writing your own.
Oh, it's terrible.
It feels like translating a document from a language you only kind of know,
Yeah.
where the grammar is just slightly off everywhere.
That is the absolute essence of cognitive overhead, because AI lacks what developers call global context.
What does that mean, global context?
So an AI might write a brilliantly efficient sorting algorithm in isolation, but it doesn't understand the broader architecture of the entire application.
Okay, I see.
So it might use a variable name that accidentally clashes with the core database, or it might format data in a way that breaks a totally different part of the system down the line.
Finding that one tiny error must be an absolute nightmare.
It is.
I mean, it's like if I asked an AI to write a script for a deep dive, right? And it gave me something that was 75% there. But the 25% that was wrong was so deeply woven into the good parts that I had to spend, like, 3 hours untangling its weird alien logic
Yeah,
when I could have just written it myself in 1 hour.
exactly. And that is where the perceived productivity win of that 75% metric turns into an actual net negative.
Wow.
Because you are spending more mental energy reverse engineering the machine's thought process than you would have spent just typing out the code in the first place.
That sounds exhausting.
It is, and this is where the security concern comes in too.
Right, the article mentioned security.
Yeah, because when an engineer is fatigued by high cognitive overhead, their brain naturally starts to skim. And if you are skimming hundreds of lines of AI-generated code just trying to hit your quota for the day, you are highly likely to miss the subtle, complex vulnerability that the AI just accidentally introduced.
Man, so a tool that is pushed for performance metrics is actively working against the engineers who are trying to build secure, reliable products.
Yes, the metric has completely eclipsed the actual workflow.
If I am an engineer dealing with fragmented tools, all these rate limits, and the exhausting mental tax of constantly fixing the machine's confident mistakes, I mean, I'm absolutely going to be making memes, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a recipe for total burnout.
We are seeing the real-time consequences of a system prioritizing the appearance of innovation over the reality of execution.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit to see how the rest of the industry is reacting to Google's internal chaos hitting the public square.
Sure.
Because Vika Ray, she didn't just summarize the internal leaks. She actually scraped Hacker News and Reddit to get the broader tech community's verdict.
Right, which is super valuable data.
Yeah, and the LLM Tracker sentiment estimate for this news gives us a really fascinating breakdown. The reaction is only 8% positive.
Wow.
Yeah, 22% neutral, and a massive 70% critical.
Oh. I mean, a 70% critical consensus in a diverse tech community like Hacker News or Reddit, that is staggering.
It really is.
It shows this isn't just an isolated complaint inside Google, you know. It resonates deeply across the entire industry.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite that overwhelming critical sentiment, the actual comments on Hacker News and Reddit aren't treating this as a Google-exclusive scandal.
Right.
The article notes that they are largely just shrugging it off as standard-issue developer venting.
Yeah.
The prevailing sentiment out there seems to be, well, all AI sucks to some degree.
The industry is basically experiencing a collective moment of exhaustion.
Yes. It is so reminiscent of the early days of consumer GPS.
Oh, I remember those days.
Right. Like, we all knew the technology was deeply flawed. The machine would confidently tell you to take a right turn directly into a lake.
Literally into a lake.
And everyone knew it made mistakes, everyone was frustrated by it, but everyone was still forced by the nature of the industry or by their bosses to use it anyway.
Exactly.
So the developers on Reddit are looking at the Google engineers and basically saying, we get it. We are dealing with the exact same top-down mandates and the exact same broken tools.
The shared pain points of rate limits and that cognitive overhead we talked about, it makes this highly relatable for anyone in tech right now.
Totally.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the tech community isn't actually letting Google off the hook entirely.
No.
No, because the source explicitly points out that commenters are consistently ranking competitors, specifically Claude and Codex, above Gemini for real-world coding tasks.
Okay, let's make sure we define those for anyone who might not be deep in the developer weeds. Claude is the large language model built by Anthropic, right?
Yes.
And Codex is the model powering OpenAI's coding tools.
Correct.
Okay, so the fact that developers are openly preferring rivals, that has got to be a massive red flag for Google executives.
Huge red flag. It shifts the narrative from just, an industry-wide growing pain to a specific corporate crisis for Google. Right. Because it is one thing for developers to say, all AI requires too much cognitive overhead right now.
Sure.
It is a completely different, far more dangerous thing for them to say, all AI is frustrating, but Google's AI is noticeably worse for my actual daily workflow than what Anthropic or OpenAI is offering.
Wow. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, if you are a developer, you really just want the tool that requires the least amount of editing.
Exactly.
You want the tool that understands the global context of your code better, so you don't have to spend those 3 hours hunting for the mistake.
Yeah.
If Claude does that better than Gemini, that is where the loyalty is going to go.
And when your own engineers are leaking memes about how frustrating your flagship product is, and then the broader community is actively preferring your rivals' tools, that threatens the core utility of what you're actually building.
It really does.
It just reinforces the criticism that Google's push is performance-driven and focused on PR, rather than engineer-led and focused on making a product that functions seamlessly.
So those memes are more than just jokes.
Much more.
They are massive red flags being waved from inside the building, warning everyone that the foundation of the technology is basically cracking under the pressure of these corporate mandates.
Yeah.
And these data points, ironically, were perfectly captured, analyzed, and summarized by an AI.
An AI that notably doesn't suffer from cognitive overhead when reading human complaints.
That is so true. So what does this all mean? Let's pull all these threads together.
Let's do it.
We started with a wonderfully ironic summary by an AI agent about humans complaining about AI. And underneath that, we found a stark, glaring contrast between corporate ambition and daily reality.
Yep.
Google is pushing this flashy narrative that 75% of new code is magically AI-generated. But the human beings actually doing the work are drowning.
They really are.
They are dealing with rate-limited, fragmented tools that shatter their flow state, and they are carrying the massive cognitive overhead of having to constantly clean up after the machine's confident mistakes.
Meanwhile, the broader tech world looks on with deep skepticism. I mean, they sympathize with the frustration because they feel it too, but they're also quietly moving their workflow to competing tools like Claude and Codex.
Right.
Because no amount of executive mandates can force people to love a tool that just makes their job harder.
I think the biggest takeaway here for you listening is validation.
Absolutely.
If you have ever been sitting at your desk, trying to use some new, highly touted AI feature that your company rolled out, and you find yourself getting incredibly frustrated
Which happens a lot.
all the time, if it feels forced or if it feels like fixing the AI's mistakes takes longer than just doing the work yourself, you are not alone.
Not at all.
The literal engineers at Google, the very people building the fabric of our digital infrastructure, are sitting in their offices making memes about that exact same frustration.
Technology is constantly sold to us as this frictionless magic. But behind the curtain, it is still just a tool.
Yeah.
And right now, these tools are blunt, heavy, and pretty exhausting to wield. We are all dealing with the friction of this transition, from the entry-level employee all the way up to the senior developers at the world's biggest tech firms.
We really are. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today, something that builds on this core idea of cognitive overhead.
Okay.
We know right now that the world's top engineers are struggling with the mental tax of managing AI-generated code in a professional setting.
Yeah.
But we've all experienced a microversion of this with autocorrect on our phones, right?
Absolutely.
Think about how often autocorrect changes a perfectly fine word into something completely wrong. And you have to go back, delete it, and retype it before you send that text to your boss.
It's infuriating.
Now scale that up. What happens in a year or two when that exact same fragmented, performance-driven AI philosophy is fully integrated into every single piece of consumer software you use to manage your daily life?
That's a scary thought.
If the experts are struggling with the mental tax of fixing the machine's mistakes today, will we all soon just become exhausted debuggers of our own digital lives?
The burden of verifying the machine's work will fall squarely on the user.
It's definitely something to think about the next time your AI calendar assistant tries to confidently schedule a meeting for 3 a.m. Until next time.